at almost the exact same time as the great Comanche Empire reaches its zenith and then collapses almost spontaneously in upon itself, the United States Army moves in to enforce Article 11 of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. To review, that article says that you want all that territory in the Southwest, what becomes the southwestern part of the United States, you own the Indians that live there as well. Well, this includes the Comanches, but also Apaches and other Indian tribes. So now the United States has to come up with an Indian policy for Texas. Well, the people that are going to bring about this Indian policy and enforce it is the United States Army. They become the great frontier constabulary. In order to contain the Comanche Empire in 1848, there's a line of forts established. They go all the way from Fort Worth in the north, all the way down to Fort Graham on the shores of present-day Lake Whitney, to Fort Gates near present-day Gatesville, down to Fort Crowan, down around Burnett, Fort Martin Scott at Fredericksburg, and then Forts Lincoln, Inge, and Duncan that goes down from San Antonio over to the border near Eagle Pass. Just across the river, actually, Fort Duncan is not too far across the river from the old Presidio del Rio Grande, back from the Spanish and Mexican periods. And then down in the lower Rio Grande, you have Forts McIntosh, Ringgold Barracks, and Brown to keep an eye on that lower Rio Grande Valley border between Texas and Mexico. And then way out at the far end of Texas, you have the establishment of Fort Bliss in El Paso. Well, this seems like you're going to be able to contain Comanche Area, but while you're busy trying to contain Comanche Area as it existed back in the early 1840s, it's collapsing. And in 1849, you have the discovery of gold in California. So almost as soon as the first line of forts is established in Texas, it's obsolete. In fact, the United States Army begins to explore routes across Comanche Area in order to move American populations from the east all the way out to their new possessions on the west coast. Comanche Area, which used to be the exclusive domain of a few thousand people, now all of a sudden is being crossed by one expedition after another. The most notable of which, for Texas history, is the route carved out by Randolph Barnes Marcy. He goes from Fort Smith, Arkansas, all the way to Santa Fe, and then from Santa Fe down and across through North Texas. So now the Comanches not only see their empire collapsing, but they've been contained by a line of forts, and now they've got people essentially traversing Comanche Area at will. Well, they finally meet with the federal authorities at Fort Atkinson in Kansas. And there the Comanches, the Kiowas, and the Kiowa Apaches in 1853 essentially say, look, you guys can go across our territory, you can traverse Comanche Area, you can essentially have whatever you want. We are so desperate, we will trade that in exchange for food, clothing, anything to help us get through this crisis that we're facing. The effect of the Treaty of Fort Atkinson is essentially the elimination of the de facto boundaries of Comanche Area. It goes into effect in July of 1854.